One moment changed everything for Will Smith. For decades, he was Hollywood's golden personality, charismatic, funny, disciplined, and almost universally loved. From sitcom star to blockbuster icon to Oscar winner, his career seemed nearly untouchable. Then, on the biggest night in entertainment, everything shifted. A walk to the stage, a slap heard around the world. And suddenly, the Fresh Prince wasn't Hollywood's safest bet anymore. Tonight, we're breaking down what really happened at the Oscars, how Hollywood reacted behind closed doors, why the industry's response was quieter than the public outrage, and what this says about power, reputation, and risk in Hollywood. Because this isn't just about a slap. It's about how quickly influence can turn into liability. Let's begin. Part 1. The Oscars Incident. It happened at the Academy Awards, the pinnacle of prestige in film. Comedian Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, referencing her shaved head in a G.I. Jane comparison. Jada has publicly spoken about living with alopecia. At first, Will appeared to laugh. Then, within seconds, he walked on stage and slapped Chris Rock in front of millions watching live worldwide. He returned to his seat and shouted a now infamous warning. The broadcast cut audio in some countries. Social media froze, then exploded. It wasn't just shocking, it was unprecedented. No one had seen something like that happen live at the Oscars before. And in Hollywood, image is everything. Part 2. The public split. The world divided almost instantly. Supporters said he defended his wife. Chris crossed a line. Emotions happen. Critics argued violence is never the answer. It was unprofessional. This crossed a boundary. Memes flooded TikTok. Think pieces were published overnight. Podcasts recorded emergency episodes. But while the public debated morality and humor, Hollywood insiders were discussing something else entirely. Risk. Part 3. Hollywood's silent shift. Hollywood rarely reacts loudly at first. It calculates. Behind closed doors, in agency offices, executive boardrooms, studio meetings, conversations were happening. Not emotional conversations, strategic ones. Questions like, can we ensure this actor on set? Does this affect international marketability? Will this overshadow promotional campaigns? How will brand partners react? Hollywood is a multi-billion-dollar business. Films cost hundreds of millions. Marketing campaigns are planned years ahead. Studios depend on stability. When someone loses composure publicly on live television, executives don't just see emotion. They see unpredictability. And unpredictability equals financial risk. That's when the quiet distancing began. Not dramatic, not public, just subtle shifts in tone. Part 4. The Academy's Message. The Academy's response was swift. Will Smith resigned from the Academy and was later banned from attending the Oscar ceremony for 10 years. That decision was historic. It wasn't about revoking his Oscar. It wasn't about erasing his career. It was symbolic. It sent a message to the entire industry. The Oscars represent decorum, tradition, control. And no matter how powerful you are, that image must be protected. The Academy had to protect its brand. Because in Hollywood, brand protection always comes first. Part 5. Career Ripple Effects. In the months that followed, the impact became visible. Some film projects were quietly delayed. Certain negotiations slowed down. Studio conversations became more cautious. There were reports of paused productions and reevaluated deals. Not all doors closed, but some doors didn't open as quickly as they once would have. And in Hollywood, hesitation matters. Before the Oscars, Will was considered one of the most bankable, reliable stars. Afterward, executives had to ask, can we build a $200 million production around someone who just became the center of controversy? Even if audiences forgive quickly, studios don't forget quickly. Because for them, it's not emotional, it's financial. Part 6. The Power of Image in Hollywood. For decades, Will's brand was carefully built. The lovable underdog, the charismatic hero, the disciplined professional. From the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to action blockbusters to serious dramatic roles, he represented consistency. The Oscars moment disrupted that narrative. Hollywood markets stars like products. Studios sell trust. When that trust wavers, even slightly, the executives hesitate. and hesitation can be more damaging than open criticism. Part 7. Public forgiveness versus industry memory. The public often forgives celebrities quickly. Apologies are issued, interviews are given, time passes. But Hollywood works differently. Executives remember. Agents discuss patterns, producers evaluate behavior history, insurance companies assess liability. A headline might disappear from social media in weeks, but risk assessments can last years. That's why the shift felt quiet rather than explosive. No dramatic blacklisting, no public condemnation campaigns, just recalibration. Part 8. Will Smith's response and rebuild. Will later apologized publicly, including directly to Chris Rock and the Academy. He described his behavior as unacceptable and emotional. Many fans appreciated the vulnerability. He returned to work, he made appearances, he began the slow process of rebuilding. And Hollywood has seen redemption arcs before. The question isn't whether he can recover. It's how long it takes for executives to fully trust again, because in the film industry, reputation compounds, positively or negatively. Part 9. What this reveals about Hollywood culture. This situation exposed something deeper. Hollywood isn't just about talent, it's about control. Studios want predictable behavior, manageable press cycles, brand-safe ambassadors. One unpredictable moment can disrupt years of image management. The slap wasn't just physical, it disrupted Hollywood's illusion of elegance and order. And that's why the reaction felt bigger than the act itself. Part 10. The comeback test. But here's the part most people forget. Hollywood doesn't just punish, it observes. Time changes narratives. Since the incident at the Academy Awards, Will hasn't disappeared. He's continued working, he's shown up publicly, he's taken responsibility, at least in words. And Hollywood loves one thing almost as much as control: a comeback story. Studios are watching box office numbers. Streaming platforms are watching engagement. Executives are watching audience sentiment. Because at the end of the day, there's one force more powerful than controversy: profit. If audiences show up, projects move forward. If numbers perform, hesitation fades. The real question isn't whether Hollywood turned on him. It's whether the market turns back toward him. In this industry, redemption isn't granted emotionally. It's earned commercially. And the next few years will decide whether that slap becomes a permanent stain, or just a dramatic chapter in a much longer story. So why did Hollywood quietly turn on Will Smith? Not because they suddenly hated him, not because audiences abandoned him overnight, but because in a billion-dollar industry built on precision and image control, unpredictability creates discomfort, and discomfort creates distance. That one moment shifted how decision-makers calculated risk. And in Hollywood, perception often matters more than intention. Now I want to hear from you. Did Hollywood overreact? Or were they protecting their business? Can a single emotional moment redefine a decades-long legacy? Drop your thoughts below respectfully. If you enjoy deep celebrity breakdowns, industry psychology, and behind-the-scenes Hollywood analysis, make sure to like this video, comment your perspective.